Today we're talking about canopy management, and canopy is described for us the non-wine people as the leaves and stalks and stems on a grapevine. And these things do a couple of things. One, the leaves obviously take sunlight, turn the sunlight into sugars. The sugars go into the grapes. We take the grapes, we make the wine. This is a vine that's called head train vine. It's very traditional. You see, there's nothing supporting this vine other than its own stem and stalk here. And for vines that aren't very vigorous, like Zinfandel, that it works perfectly. It's sort of natural canopy management. You prune to a certain number of spurs. You can see this was last year's wood. We pruned 2 buds, and we grew 2 buds out of it. If you look around here, we pruned 2 buds here, and we grew 2 buds out of it. So it all worked out pretty good. Conversely, if you have vines that may be a little bit more vigorous, or you want to maybe get a little more crop, a little heavier crop, we can switch to trellis vines and see what that's like. So back when we were talking about our head train vines, there are fewer vines per acre generally. They're a bit more open spaced. It's very inexpensive, obviously, because you don't have trellis. If you got trellis, now we have a different system of training the vine. We have a cordon train vine. These arms here are where our spurs are, rather than on the kind of goblet of the head train. You can see we've got a nice piece of drill casing here, which is our support. Each vine has we call these T-posts, because if you looked on the top straight down, it looked like a T. And then there's a lot of steel high tensile wire here. And you can see how this one wire here holds the arms up. The second set of wires here actually hold the canes in. You can see that this cane is behind this upper wire. It's movable. There's a clip here on the post, and we can move the wires. Usually in the wintertime we'll take them down before pruning, and then in the spring, as the canes grow up off the spurs, we'll bring the wires up and then form of a more vertical canopy. It's probably a better canopy design for cooler areas rather than Amador County. Here in Amador County, this was kind of the rage about 10 or 15 years ago. It was very Napa-esque to bring in these canopies to bring more sunlight in, get a more vertical canopy. We found here, though, in Amador that because we don't really have morning fog, we have a very warm season and it's mostly sunny all day long, that these vertical canopies tend to get a little bit more sunburn on the grapes. So we're kind of going back to more of a sprawly system where, if you look carefully, you see the vines. We let the canes kind of arch over and hang down and add a little bit more shade. In a cool area, coastal vineyard, this vertical canopy works really, really well. You can see we've got similar system. Each arm carries 4 to 6 spurs. On that one, 4 there, 5 there. Each one was pruned to 2 buds from last year's wood. This was last year's wood. This was a cane that grew last year. We pruned it off. And you can see that 2 of these buds produced a cane for this year. And then, so next year, or next pruning season, which will probably be next year, 2013, we'll come back and we'll probably cut this off here and then just leave this one, or vice versa. Probably try to shorten it up. We'll pick the better one, the one that's on the outside going there. You can see that these vines have been picked already. It's late in the season. The grapes have already been picked. We're going to do a little bit of watering just to get them some winter moisture before the rains start. And then afterwards, when the leaves are off, we'll come back through and prune these vines for next year. The grapevine, Vitis vinifera, its Latin name, originated in the Fertile Crescent, which is today Iraq, parts of Iran. It was spread throughout the world by first the Greeks, then the Romans. Not native to the United States. One of the problems we have in the United States is, since the vines weren't from here, the pests that we have are pretty bad for wine grape vines. So one of the things we'll do is we'll have a rootstock. You can see there's quite a bit of difference between the part that's in the ground here, the rootstock, and then this one called the scion, or the fruiting part of the wood. One of the other things I wanted to show is that the grapevines can live perfectly well without a lot of water. They don't need much. And you can dry farm grapes pretty easily, assuming you have enough winter moisture, which means in our climate about 35 inches. Coastal climates you could probably get by with a little less. Here in this climate, there are years when we don't get enough moisture, like this year, 2012. So what we've got to do is supplement the grapes with some irrigation water. This is drip irrigation. It's very, very commonplace in grapevines now.
You see we have a wire here holding up the drip line itself, which is a piece of plastic pipe. And every certain number of feet, pretty much each vine gets in one of these drippers or emitters. They're good for usually a half a gallon or a gallon per hour. This vineyard here with the soil type in a warm year like this year, we probably have watered twice to supplement Mother Nature's water. There are vineyards in this area that were dry farmed, and because we didn't get a lot of winter moisture this year, we did see a lot of suffering vines, dehydrated and drying vines. So it's nice to have. Obviously another expense, but to make the best wines, you need to have the healthiest vineyard, and the healthiest vineyard oftentimes requires some extra water to get it along, especially in a hot season. This movie a little bit late in the season. If you look across, you'll notice there's a lot of different colors in these vines, not just straight green. Could have been a month and a half, 2 months ago, we'd have had a really nice, perfectly green canopy here. You're starting to see the expression that these are red grape varieties. You can tell as the leaves start to redden off, turn into fall, they pick up some nice colors. Sometimes we get varieties that'll do a little bit more, depending on the nutrient status of the vine. You may get a little bit more red. It looks very good. It's probably not as healthy for the vine as you would like. You see yellows and oranges in there. Pretty much you can see it's overcast today. We're running down. We're in the middle of October. We should be finished within a couple of weeks, if not just a week. But it's late and the vines are getting a little tired of being out here. Pretty soon, within a month, there won't be any leaves left. We'll get a nice little cold snap probably, and the rest of these leaves will be on the ground. So then time for more vineyard maintenance, disking, hoeing, mowing, just to get incorporate all the leaves and the trimmed branches, trimmed canes down into the ground as nutrients for next year.